Good Shabbos! I think it's set for bat mitzvah there. We'll try that again. Shabbat shalom. Wonderful. You guys
Rabbi, are you going to scream or whisper?
I'll keep it lower.
Okay.
I'll try to keep it lower.
Just let me know in advance.
All right, let's take a nice deep breath of Shabbat air. We can, feel the freshness of that beautiful rain. How many of you got poured on today? It was so strange because it would be pouring rain and then nothing. I was driving up North Forest from one appointment to the next this morning, and I got to right near Sheridan Drive, and it felt like someone had taken a hose and was spraying. And it was so odd because I could see behind me there was no water. In front of me there was no water. And sure enough, I drive halfway up towards Maple and it was nothing at all. It was so strange. I can't ever recall that before. All right, so let's take 1 second because it's really important for us to, celebrate especially things that were important in our lives, but also to mourn losses. Let's just take a moment, think of the week. Where were you from last Saturday night all the way through the week? Take one moment just to think, and we'll take one more breath, breathing in what we want to hold on to and letting go of the things that we want to let go of. All right, one more breath. Well, it's beautiful to have you tonight. We're going to have Bruce Chorus come to officially welcome you home here on our final Jews of all hues of the obstacle course. Yeah, that's where the conversation's going to happen.
There you go. Shabbat shalom, everyone. Shabbat shalom. And welcome to the season finale of Jews of all hues. Not the grand finale, because we're going to continue it next year, which is wonderful. Our good friend Michael Berger has agreed to sponsor it again, and we're very happy for that. So we will be traveling the world again next year, the world of Judaism, through the eyes of our members here. You know what? We need to start planning a trip. Some of us just got back from our Panama trip, which was really part of the culmination of Jews of all hues. So we have to start thinking about another one for next year. It's good to have everyone here. A quick safety announcement, because we have some people who have not been here before. It was interesting when we were on all of our flights to Panama City and to Bocas del Toro and back to Panama City and even back to Atlanta. All of our safety instructions were in both English and Spanish. And Spanish was a lot more words. It was a much longer safety announcement and much faster too. But anyway, so I'll just do it in English. So real quick, in case you need to leave at any point in an emergency, which we certainly don't anticipate, we have an emergency exit there. You can go out the main exit that way. And if you go out that way, the parking lot is to your right and Sheridan Drive is to your left. We have a defibrillator, we have a stop the bleed kit, we have a first aid kit if someone has a medical emergency during the course of the service. I don't see any doctors in the room, but I see a couple lawyers, so we're all set in that regard. Anyway, it's good to have you all here. We are having Jews of Israel tonight, and we are looking forward to that. And I will be back later with announcements. We have lots of stuff. It's a busy time at Congregation Shir Shalom, but enjoy our season finale of Jews of all hues. Unlike the season finales on TV, there's no cliffhanger here. There's no, oh my God, is this person going to make it? What's going to happen to them? Are they going to leave the show? None of that. They're all coming back. Shabbat shalom.
I was going to say the same thing. That I was wondering, because usually when you watch the final episode of a season, they have to make you worried about the next season, right? So we had a little warm-up, what you heard before, Al Kol Leila, that beautiful Naomi Shemer song that kind of went out of fashion for a while, but just is so beautiful. And of course we have Ivan Dachenko and Ben Cohen also, and Dr. Andy Simons is going to be speaking with us and singing for us later. So we're going to turn to our candle lighting, and why don't we have our two leaders of our Jews of all Hues, our adult ed chairs, Ronnie DeBrouwen and Evie Weinstein, to come up to look at that. It was beshert that they would come together to do this and to come together in Buffalo. Page 120.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech ha'olam asher kiddushanu b'mitzvotav v'tzivanu lehadlik ner shel Shabbat.
May the candles of Shabbat light our way through Shabbat, and if one of you could lift our Kiddush cup. Do you guys want to lead Kiddush together?
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam borei peri hagafen. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher kiddushanu b'mitzvotav v'ratzavanu v'shabbat kodsho v'ahava uvratzon in kilanu zikaron l'maaseh v'reishit ki hu yom tehillah l'mikra'e kodesh zecher l'tziat Mitzrayim kivanu v'harta ve'otanu kidashta mikol ha'amim v'shabbat kodshecha ve'ahava uvratzon in kaltanu. Baruch atah Adonai mekadesh haShabbat. Amen.
L'chaim, to life, to life. Ooh, okay. We don't usually have that about Manischewitz. Was it better than Manischewitz?
A little better, yeah. Thank you.
I told Joanne we need to get some of we had this really good white wine, but we had so much wine from Passover, so we have to go through that first. We're going to turn to Lachado D on page 138 and 139. And we're singing the first, second, fifth, and ninth. Oh, Hine Matov. Oh, I'm sorry. All right, so hold on, we got something. So page 128, is that what do we got? 128, we're going to do a little Hine Matov. As a reminder that we've come here as family together. Okay.
There we go.
No, is it 128? Yeah, we got it.
Yeah. I'm just, somehow or another it didn't get into the program, which is strange. Here we go.
perfect setup for L'Chadodi. I love it. And I love, Ben, you're using your seat as a percussion. That's very Jewish. We usually, like in an Orthodox setting, there's no drums, but you're allowed to use the table or any kind of, anything. You can make anything else into an instrument, so I love that. L'Chadodi is on page 138 and 39. We're going to sing the first, second, fifth, and ninth verses. And on the ninth verse, we rise, we face our doorway over here, symbolically, as Shabbat actually comes into the room. We bow to her, and then we welcome one another by waving our hands like this as a show of that we're all part of a community together.
And this is a melody from Kol HaNeshama Synagogue in Jerusalem.
standing. Sorry, I didn't catch you before. Remain standing for our call of community, page 146. And look around. Look at our beautiful congregation tonight. Each and every one of you is important. I was flashing back to the days of Zoom during the pandemic when we would wave at each other. You didn't know who you're actually looking at. And here, I noticed a lot of people catching each and every one's eyes. And it makes such a difference just to be seen. How much of a difference. So our call of community 146, the Baruch Hu.
Baruch Hu et Adonai, Hamelorah. Baruch Adonai, Hamelorah, Le'olam va'ed. You may be seated. We have a special song. We want you to be able to sit during it. And this is in your leaflet. It's called Tell Me How to Stop the Tears. And just a reminder, this is the 8th month anniversary of October 7th today. Tell me how to stop the tears. Tell me where there's another world in which to live. For I can't see the truth behind the screen of lies. So how do I hold up my heart and dry my eyes? At the edge of the shore, no more waves, but a world that breaks into shards on the pier. At the edge of the shore, no more waves, but a world that breaks into shards on the pier. Take it in, what's all at my own. Take it in for יש עולם אחר לחיות. תגידי למה אם האמת רק הזיות, אז למה לנסות ולהמשיך עכשיו לבכות? אורך היום אין גלים, יש עולם שנשמר לרסיסים על המזרח. לבוא ולחכות אין גלים, יש עולם שנשמר לרסיסים על המזרח. I invite you to rise again for the Shema, page 152, 153, as we sing our affirmation of unity together. Hues-Israel, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai Echad. Baruch Shekro, Malchuto, Le'olam va'ed. You may be seated. We continue with the V'ahavta, page 154. V'ahavta et Adonai Elohecha b'chol levavecha ובכל נפשך ובכל מאודך, והיו הדברים Eko mitzvotai, v'item kedoshim, leloechem. Ani Adonai Elohechem, Asher hotzeiti etchem me'eretz Mitzrayim, v'hiyot lachem Elohim. Ani Adonai Elohechem.
And let's read together on 155. Love your God with every heartbeat, with every breath, with every conscious act. Keep in mind the words I command you today. Teach them to your children. Talk about them at work, whether you are tired or you are rested. Let them guide the work of your hands. Keep them in the forefront of your vision. Do not leave them at the doorway of your house or outside your gate. They are reminders to do all of my mitzvot, so that you can be holy for God. I am Adonai, your God. I led you out of Egypt to become your God. I am Adonai, your God. I invite you to rise again for the Amidah, the silent Amidah. It starts page 164 through page 180. Take an opportunity for your own private thoughts and prayers, and whenever you're ready, you may be seated. We're going to continue on 180 with Oseh Shalom, an Israeli version from the congregation I think Cantor mentioned before, Nava Tehillah.
Shalom Aleinu, Try with us. One more time, Ivan. Oh, say shalom bimroa. Booyah, say shalom aleinu. Ve'al Israel. Ve'al kol yoshvei tevel. V'imru, amen. Yeah, here we go.
When they do that song at our kids' camp, they form a mosh pit. All the kids go to the front and they go. One of the ways that you can see the love between Israel and American Jews is through music. And we've just seen, the first one was from Kol and Shema, a very influential synagogue in Nava Tehillah now. The music, it kind of goes both ways. In Israel, you hear Carlebach music and a lot of American tunes as well. And it's kind of like we're singing it at each other. I know Andy's going to share a song later on too as well. It's a way the music really, we connect across an ocean. It's quite amazing. Okay, so we are ready actually to start our conversation. So we're going to bring up Ronnie DeBrouwen and Andy Simons. You might know Andy in many different roles. He might be your doctor. He might be your friend. He might have been the person who led songs for you at Seneca Lake. He's a born song leader as well as a healer. And he combines it in such a wonderful way. And his wonderful song, Toda means thanks a lot, has reached the Billboard top 100. And it is available on YouTube. And everyone in this area, if you ask kids some of their favorite songs, if you go cross generations, they know this song in any of the synagogue communities as well. Okay.
We might have to sing it later, too.
Yes. I think I have a reason to do it. Okay.
So I'm going to start backwards. I'm first going to thank all of you for coming. I don't want to impact your singing at the end, so
Don't worry about that.
I want to thank the rabbi and the cantor for supporting this program. This program has blossomed into something so much more than Evie and I could have ever expected. We never thought when we sat down and planned this with the clergy and with the adult ed committee that this was going to become what it is. Thank you, Michael Berger. You have enabled us to move forward in a way that we just didn't expect. We've had fabulous musicians, you guys more than anybody else, and we thank you very much. Cantor, the music you've brought us is so astonishing. Interestingly, it's what I look forward to each time the most, and Zach's food. And tonight's Israel, so you know it's going to be spectacular. Usually I write something in the service pamphlet, just a little bit of info about the place we're learning about. I decided not to do that. I'm going to do something different. I usually write something to make you think a little bit, to teach you something. Tonight I want you to feel something. I want you to feel something about the country that we're celebrating. There might be a few people in the room, and I'm not pointing you out, who remember 1948, remember the joy of statehood, remember what it was like before there was the state of Israel. Most of us don't have that privilege. We've always had a homeland. We've always had a place that we knew we could go to. We've always been able to use that in our pocket of dual citizenship. We always had a place. The first time that I ever went to Israel with John, we were not married yet, the wheels touched down and he turned to me and said, "I'm home." And it was the most incredible moment. Oh, sorry. I want you to take a few moments now, right now, and just go into yourselves and think about your relationship with Israel. And I want you to think about how you would feel if she weren't there. During the next 25 hours of Shabbat, keep thinking about this. Always at the end of the Seder, we say, Lashana Haba'ah, next year in Jerusalem. What does that mean to you? I mean, really, what does it feel like to you? So I'm proud and honored to be able to talk to Andy Simons and to have gotten to know you a little bit, and I look forward to getting to know you a whole lot more. You manifested Lasha'ahaba. You manifested it. So tell me, what is it? How did you wind up from diaspora to our homeland, and then back to diaspora again? And that's a complicated question, I know. So first, take the little first part.
Well, thanks. And, when they asked me to speak at Jews of different hues, I said, well, my hue is probably very similar to your hue. I mean, I grew up in Long Island, not Buffalo, grew up in a Reformed synagogue, Temple Emmanuel of Lynbrook, Rabbi Harold Saperstein, who's an icon of the Reform movement. And I think elements of my story will probably ring familiar and true to you too. And if you feel like nodding and identifying, please do, because I think it will. So I grew up in a Reformed synagogue. My parents, may they both rest in peace, were advisors of the synagogue youth group, and I hung around the synagogue youth group. When I was 8, 9 years old, I started playing the guitar. Actually, that guitar I bought when I was 16. It's been with me since then, at least 20 years, right? Right. Right. And I kind of fell in love with Hebrew music. They kind of put me together with one of the youth group kids who was the music teacher at the Hebrew school, and I started to learn songs. And that was really my first, my introduction to Hebrew and loving Hebrew. I went to some of the Jewish summer camps, and including one called International Torah Corps, which was in Littleton, New Hampshire, in the White Mountains, where 2 Reform rabbis led an intense 6-week program in Hebrew studies. And again, that's where I developed this love of Hebrew. When I came back from that program at about 16, we hosted an Israeli exchange student from Ben Shemin Youth Village. He was involved in the Reform movement in Israel, and Aryeh lived with us for 6 months. And he brought me a gift. He brought me some albums. Remember albums, with the, like that, and they had the words on them. And we played songs like, Kaveret, Sipare Pugi, and David Broza, and I'll play you a David Broza song later, Shalom Chanoch. And I took it upon myself to translate all the songs. I couldn't let a song go by without learning, the song. So really, it's music that tied me to the Jewish people, to Hebrew. When I was in high school, in 12th grade, I went on an exchange program, not directly back to him, but back to Israel. Lived in Israel for 6 months in Jerusalem and on a kibbutz. And we'll circle back to that in a second. I'll talk about that kibbutz in a bit. And again, I loved being in Israel. I loved speaking Hebrew. I got a real kick out of the fact that everything was in Hebrew. And I think we've all had the experience seeing signs in Hebrew, watching television in Hebrew, singing songs in Hebrew, having the national calendar be my Jewish calendar. I loved that. I loved the geography. I loved seeing places that I had known about and learned about, and I fell in love with being in Israel. Came back for a bit and then went back to Israel, finished my bachelor's there, so I have a bachelor's in political science and Middle Eastern studies from the Hebrew University. I worked for a bit, like with high school, college groups. I worked with Ethiopian immigrant groups and Soviet immigrant groups, and I was one of the first people to work in Israel cable television when it started. That was before Fauda. Before Israel made television shows, they hired people like me to help import them and translate them and stuff. I did my army service. I served as a combat medic, and then I continued to work in Israel. And I lived in Israel through most of my 20s.
Can I ask you a question?
Yeah.
Can you remember when you were living in Israel, what you missed about the States, and what also made you feel like you had such an affinity for Israel? Like, two different questions, because when we're someplace else, we miss where we're not, but we also are very happy, some of us, where we are.
I think that's the blessing and curse of any Jewish person who goes to live in Israel. You feel at home in both places and not at home in both places. You're kind of at home, but you're a foreigner. What I missed most, quite literally, other than Captain Crunch and some of the things that you can probably get now, is a change of seasons. I missed that. I like the change of seasons, and I didn't miss that, and my family. And that actually, you asked what brought me back. Initially, what brought me back is my mother was in a serious car accident, and that brought me back to the States for a bit. And life goes on, and I ended up teaching in a high school in New York, and then kind of reckoning back to my experience as the combat medic in Israel, and liking the idea of medicine, and then going back to medical school when I was, in my early 30s. So I do owe, my career to Tzahal. I mean, really, literally, I had no medical experience. They gave it to me. So,
Thank you.
right, and then applied to medical school here in Buffalo in the 90s, and then came here. So I think that's a story that people have too. I mean, life goes on. You move to Israel, you love it, you come back for a reason, and life goes on, and I'm here. And I've maintained a strong connection, I think, throughout the years.
How often do you go back?
The last time I was back was about a year ago. My son and I were supposed to be going on December of 2023, but that was an Air Canada flight, and it was canceled, and we hope to go back in the fall.
You mentioned the Jewish calendar, and what I love when I am there for any length of time is that life resonates. Everything involves Jewish life, it feels like. Can you talk a little bit about that?
I think so. I love synagogue life, and it's the center of your Jewish connection here in the States, right? I mean, this is where we come when we want to be with Jews, hear Hebrew, and celebrate Judaism. In Israel, you can do that too. Kol Shema is a beautiful synagogue, and I've been there many times. But you can be a Jew just by the very fact that you're living in Israel. I mean, I think it takes more than just being there and breathing the air. I think that you do want to engage in synagogues like Kol Shema and have like religious expression, but so many of the things around you just are Jewish. Your holidays are Jewish holidays. The songs are Jewish songs. They say, you know, on the radio, you wake up in the morning at 6 a.m., and I still do because but I go to sleep to it, is the Shema and the Ve'ahavta. You know, it's just part of the air you breathe, and the rhythm, the national rhythm is Jewish, and I enjoyed that.
You had talked to me about what you regarded as a common purpose and destiny, that's something that you felt when you were there. Do you remember?
I do. I think that despite really strong differences that Israelis can have, and almost, you know, sometimes bordering on violent differences, I think there is a sense of joint purpose, joint destiny. When I left to come back here, I remember saying that to myself. I said, you know what, whether I end up living in Israel permanently, full-time, or making a home in the States, my destiny is tied to the destiny of Israel. And it's interesting you use those words, because that's what I said to myself. It was kind of one of the solaces I gave myself, is that I'm always tied to the country, and I have been. You know, I think, and since October 7th, I think we all feel that we are. You know, we may not have known it, but I think it's woken up in a lot of us that the fact that we are tied to that country's future.
So that brings to mind a conversation I had with my daughter-in-law, who lives outside of Jerusalem, and she was trying to get us to move there. This is many times, actually. And she said, we need you here. And I said, you also need really dedicated Jews in diaspora. You need us here to support the country as well. So I look at that as that common destiny, that we all help each other. So when you're sitting here, what are the things you miss desperately? Like, I know there are a few things I really miss, and one of them is really good dairy. I mean, really good cheese, and there's nothing like Israeli, all the different types of cheese. What do you miss?
Well, I could say I miss falafel, but there's Oded at the falafel, and I make falafel. So, but I miss, I do miss I miss the smell. You know, there's a certain smell that I miss the smell of, like, you know, driving by a kibbutz and smelling agriculture. You know, I miss that.
Oh, come to North Tonawanda. We got it.
Right. You know, I miss the fact that you can connect with somebody like that. You know, there's a certain sense of humor even today, like even after October 7th, that people have. It's just a certain, you know, lack of pretense, I think, which sometimes is perceived as, you know,
intense.
As what would you call it? As being rude or something, but it's really not. It's just that, you know, you can speak your mind, and
everybody does.
Right, and I think I miss that. I miss the music, although again, these days it's easy to stay in touch with that. And I really do miss, you know, the friendships, the people that I lived in Israel with in my late teens and through my 20s. You know, we had a very strong bond. They're, you know, great people, committed also to, like, expressing their Judaism in a national sense in Israel, and I still have a very close connection to all of them. So I guess it's people.
Thanks.
Geography. Yeah. I miss geography, places.
And you've mentioned music a few times. You had mentioned to me that a musical hug from Israel.
Oh, yeah.
So would you just make sure that everybody knows that there's an Israeli or Israel hour on the radio, and then maybe you could grace us with a song or
I will. So I think some of you may recall that you know, a month or two ago we had a guest, Josh Schroen. Josh Schroen grew up in New Jersey, and for 28 years he's had a show on WRSU radio, which you can get either on Facebook Live, or you can get it on, you know, one of the apps, Israel Hour Radio, where he highlights for an hour at 11 o'clock in the morning on Sundays what's new in Israeli music. And He did the show for years, from home. He and his family moved to Israel last August. His parents had moved before him. He's in his 40s, late 40s, almost 50, I think. And now he does the show from Israel, so he does it at night his time. So he's a great source for keeping up with Israeli music because he highlights in 1 hour what's new. You can listen to Israeli music on other venues. You can listen directly to Kan Gimel if you want, or Gal Galatz on an app. But he really, in an hour, makes it very approachable to English-speaking audiences. His motto is that you don't have to understand all the words to connect with the music, and that's true. So we brought him here. Inav brought him here a few weeks ago, and I think a lot of us were moved by his presentation of songs that came out of October 7th. Songs of sadness and defiance, songs of hope, and songs of mourning. So, yeah.
So the one last thing I want to mention, I know that you all know, but we are having a fundraiser to support families who have people still who are hostages, or families who, thank God, had members come home but are still suffering terribly. And so tonight when you go into the Oneg, there will be you'll be able to see all the things you're bidding on, and there'll be one more week of bidding online, and then a week from tonight the winners will be announced. The bidding will end midnight Thursday, okay? So every penny is going to go to support this program that has been announced to help hostage families. And so do your thing. We're a family, and we support each other. And so I'll ask you to do that. And I'll ask you to teach us some songs.
I will, but before I do that, just briefly, so I mentioned that I lived on kibbutz when I was in high school. I lived on kibbutz near Oz, and that might ring a bell. Near Oz was one of the kibbutzim that was decimated on October 7th. So one of the people who was in the group that I went to Israel with stayed on that kibbutz. His name is Jonathan Dekel-Chen. You may have seen him on CNN. He's a professor of Eastern European Studies and Jewish Studies at the Hebrew University. He stayed. I went off and went to college. He stayed on kibbutz, had kids very young, and his middle kid, Sagi Dekel-Chen, was held captive, or was the hostage, we believe. We hope, we believe. He woke up early that morning to do some work in the kibbutz. When he knew that the kibbutz was under attack, he made sure that his wife and 2 little girls were safe in their protected room. He went off, and nobody heard from him after 9:30 that morning. His wife gave birth to their 3rd child with him in captivity. So we all have somebody. We're all maybe 2 or 3 levels of separation, I think. So let's see. Can it be good? Will things be good? One of the things that connected me to Israel and Hebrew was the music. Here's a song that I'll sing for you, which those of you involved in Israel stuff in the 70s and 80s know the song. I think Israelis have, a sense of optimism and hope even during the worst of times. And so there's this saying, Yeh tov, it'll be okay. And so this song says it will be good. It's in your pamphlets. I did it in transliteration and in Hebrew and in English. See if I can get through all the words. I hope you'll sing it with me. I'll sing the chorus with you first, so you can repeat it with me. It goes, Yeh tov, Yeh tov kem, לפעמים אני נשבר, אז הלילה, nisham. You can sing that with me. Yeh tov. Yeh tov. Yeh tov ken. לפעמים אני נשבע. אז הלילה, הלילה, איתך אני נשם. אני מביט מהחלון, וזה עושה לי די עצוב. האביב הלך חלף לו, מי יודע אם ישוב. הליצן היה למלך, והנביא נהיה ליצן, ושכחתי את הדרך, אבל אני עוד כאן. יהיה טוב, יהיה טוב, יהיה טוב, כן. לפעמים אני נשבע. אז הלילה, הלילה, איתך אני נשם. ילדים לובשים כנפיים ועפים אל הצבא, ואחרי שנתיים הם חוזרים ללא תשובה. אנשים חיים במתח, מחפשים סיבה לנשום, ובין שנאה לרצח מדברים על השלום. Everyone, יהיה טוב, יהיה טוב, כן. לפעמים אני נשבע. אז הלילה, הלילה, איתך אני נשם. עוד נלמד לגור ביחד בין חורשות עצי זיתים. ילדים יחיו בלי פחד, בלי מקלטים, בלי גבולות ומקלטים. על כפרים יפרח העשב לשלום ואהבה, בעשנים של חרב עוד לא עבדה התקווה. יהיה טוב, יהיה טוב, כן. לפעמים אני נשבע. אז הלילה, הלילה, איתך אני נשאר. אני מביט מהחלון, אולי מגיע יום חדש. Thank you.
We had David Broza here at Temple Beth Zion about eight years ago or so.
And I drove him to the airport.
And Andy got to drive him to the airport. And I felt like a groupie when I went there. I had my kids, and I realized, you know, Andy and I, and there's a whole bunch of people that grew up, that was their favorite song growing up, you know. But he kind of, like David Broza, I realized in Buffalo at this time, for me, it was like Bruce Springsteen coming here. So it was like I was sitting on the balcony watching him and thinking, oh my God, I can't believe I'm here. We're going to have Mike Goldberger come to say a few words. As Ronnie said, Michael really was the impetus for the program. We really appreciate him spearheading this and enabling everything. And if feels appropriate. We kind of started right with the November fundraiser, and we're kind of ending with another fundraiser for the hostage. Whichever one you want, you can come up here.
Well, I'm gonna sit down because I'm getting old.
Yeah, sit down. That's good.
I actually came with one intent, yesterday, and today has been an interesting day. I think
Give me the mic 'cause they won't hear you.
I think it's been a pleasure to be able to share good stuff with a good group of people. And it's wonderful. You come up with an idea, and Evie and Ronnie run with it and make this happen. And in this time of angst, to have a place where we can go and celebrate together in peace and harmony is wonderful. And most important is what Cantor Arlene has done in giving us the musical impetus to it. She's gone way beyond what was expected of her, and I really appreciate it, and thank you. And finally, the few pounds that we've all gained because of the catering, we thank you too. Unfortunately, in the last 24 hours, I came across a rough spot in life. And last night, somebody came to my house and showed me a letter that there's a Jewish school, Ora Tamimim, I think it is, and they had requested of a local art group, Locust Street Art Group, I don't know if anybody ever heard of them, to collaborate with them on an art project. And the response they got blew my mind. It was essentially that we have different moral values than you have, that your moral values in supporting the state of Israel support genocide. Unbelievable. Very upsetting. So I talked to Ms. Gelman, Sonia Gelman, and I got them to retain me for $1. I'm a cheap lawyer. Because as a lawyer, it's every once in a while you can do something. And besides spending money for a program, you can do something. So I called my friend Jonathan Epstein, if you know him, at the Buffalo News. And Jonathan put me in touch with this lady, Sonia, Dina Sur, who happens to be Indian, who was very empathetic to our story and listening to it. I read her the letter. She was, and she also needs an immigration lawyer, so that doesn't hurt either. So I'm hoping that we're going to get some good news. But then I wrote a letter to this organization, and I said, you know what, they sent a general apologetic letter, but it didn't say anything. Apology, they didn't seem to recognize, and I said to them, I said, how dare you libel the Jewish people by saying supporting the state of Israel is synonymous with genocide, and you have a more superior moral value than we do, and you never speak about your genocide that happened to the Jewish people. And I said, I don't want to make this into us versus you, but I find it totally disingenuous and libelous for you to slander my people by accusing us of genocide. And I demand an apology, and I demand a retraction, and I really look forward to it. But I think it's very important that when anti-Semitism, as this clearly is, pops its head up, there's that game where you thump it back down again. And that's what you got to do, but not slightly, but really strong to stand up for what we believe in. I don't mean to make this a political battle, and it's not. But I do mean that people don't know what they're talking about. And it's very dangerous because it paints targets on people's backs when they say you're engaging in genocide, and therefore you're bad people. And that's what they're saying. And this is, I don't think they intended it, but they don't know any better. And it's very important that we, when we have the opportunity, stand up and confront it and let them know that they're wrong and that they're morally wrong and that we deal with it immediately and strongly. So that's the other part of what came on in tone today. And it's good to look forward to come here to be able to celebrate the fact that we are Jewish and that we're free. But it's also scary about what's going on out there, the people that don't want to celebrate it and allow us to be free. So with that, I thank Evie and Ronnie and the Cantor for everything you've done for us. And I look forward to next year, another year, hopefully better. Thank you all for allowing us to share our commitments to each other.
And thank you, Michael, for your wonderful support and for your strong voice. And so many things. You stand up for a lot of people, including our community, and it really makes a difference. So we had a very happy occasion this week that I think we should celebrate. Someone among our group here became a rabbi, so we're going to invite up Rabbi Erev Simons. And we have a little gift from you from our congregation. She had her celebration. She went down to, I think, New York City area, and she got a beautiful speech that we posted on our site, and she also got a beautiful certificate. And we have something, I think it's something that you actually picked out for yourself, so I hope it's something that you want. You didn't know it was going to become your gift, but Joanne, who couldn't be here tonight, she was very thoughtful, and Nancy put this together. So mazel tov. You have to take it out.
Oh. Oh my gosh. Can I tell the story?
Yeah, please. I don't even know the story, so please come stand up here if you want, or on that mic, whatever you want.
I just turned those off, so I'll turn one on.
Okay, I'm loud.
No, because they can't
Well,
hear you
there's
online.
people
Oh,
out.
oh,
Yeah.
online, okay.
TV.
So,
Here, I got this one on.
Is that
Cantor,
okay?
she's got this one.
I'm okay?
I have them on already. Okay, so.
Okay, they're on. All right. So, I wanted to make my own talit. My assistant at religious school, Cindy McCulick, has made talitot for many years, and she knows how to do the tzitzit. And she said, sure, we can do it together. So the fabric was supposed to resemble, and it really did, my daughter's bat mitzvah dress. So I thought that was a cool link, my Jewish journey. But just in case it did not work out, I went to the gift store and I picked that talit, and I said to Joanne, I said, can you just hold on to it, and, just in case. But I can't. This is
Now you have
amazing.
two.
Now, and can I just tell you something? I forgot that she was not going to be here, but I was going to tell her, I really like this one too, and I was going to get it. So this is amazing.
I was thinking,
Thank you.
what could we do for Erev?
Wow.
And look how
This is-
wonderful. It fits you very well. Can we do a little priestly blessing for her, do you think? And let's rise. It's a wonderful honor to have, I know Erev is looking to do a lot of chaplaincy work in this community, and
Yeah.
we could definitely use a lot of chaplaincy work.
Yeah.
So why
She's
don't
not
you-
feeling so hot today.
Yeah,
so.
we can move these away. Oops, sorry. May God bless you and watch over you. Can you hear us? May God shine God's light upon you and grant you comfort. May God lift God's face to you and grant you and all of us peace. Amen. Mazel tov. Mazel tov. Hey, you guys can be seated. We're going to turn to our prayers of healing. Einav is certainly on our prayers. She's doing great with her treatment. We're going to read our list of names. If you have other names, just raise your hand, and we'll go around the room, and feel free to say them out loud as we go around, or you can just hold them in your heart as well. We are thinking about Neil Agneta, Diane Alphys, John Binder, Reverend Jim Callan, Alan and Karen Cooper, Joe Dinky, Lil Duquette, Gloria Fine, Sue Frank, Barbara Frieda, Marianne Sacamando Friedman, Carol Gettings, Carolyn and Ernie Grosser, Dijon Heyman, Hillary Kerman, Maya Ruth Corin Matlock, Jim Kiles, Miles Levy, Jenna Meltzer, Michael Malik, Aaron Nevler, Judy Osowitz, Sean Peck, Shannon Perry, Mary Ralabate, Dwight Reed, Aidan Raccoon, Sharon Rosenthal, Cheryl Rossi, Beverly Rovner, David Rovner, Brandon Ryan, Diane Wabnick Chettier, Wyatt Alexander Simpson, Gail Willig Smith, Gary Spiceman, Einav Simons, Rex Tarman, Eleanor Veshalevsky, Matt Willard, Gail Zaretsky, Ariel Leah Bachava, Yosef Ben Zissel, Shmuel Ben Miriam, Chindasara Bat Rachel, Shoshana Bat Liba, Chazer Ben Shul, Chanalea Bat Avram Basara, Liba Bat Rachel, and Shoshana Bat Liba. And if you have other names, just raise your hand.
Marshall Friedman, and all of the Israeli soldiers that have been injured in the last months.
Tony Romano and Rochelle Ferrero and Ernie Sales.
Milton Sarah Campbell. Gail Agatol.
Jill Klinger and Anita Klinger.
The Misha Barak is on page 371. Healing of body and soul. We invite you to rise, page 586, if you're able, for Aleinu. It's not enough for us to pray. We need to go out and make this world better. 591. You may be seated. We turn to the Mourner's Kaddish on page 598. And I just want to welcome back Audrey Nadell. She lost her father, Edward Angus, a week and a half ago or so. So we welcome you back, and I'm glad you had a chance to be with your mom and to be with the family at this important time, and I hope we can comfort you here. We're also remembering Harold Bobb, James Bukowski, Lester Frank, Sue's father, and I just got word that Barry Heitner's his ex-father-in-law, Daniel Safarin, he was a Holocaust survivor, survived Auschwitz, fought in 1948, and then made his way to America. So he told me he just died in the last couple hours, I think even. On our yard site list from years past, we remember Norma Altman, Samuel Axelrod, Edith Balin, Harry Berman, Nathan Berman, Barry Cohen, Peter Covey, Roberta De Bruin, Bobby De Bruin, Harvey Dennis, Joseph Deutsch, Robert Eisner, Gertrude Goldberg, Frank E. Gordon, Hyman Green, Carol D. Haber, Louis Jacob Haas, Martin Habenstrock, Morris Herman, Milton Herzog, Marianne Kaplan, Abraham Kranitz, Molly Letman, Sidney Letman, Isaac Levy, Matthew Liebengards, Bessie Michaels, Stephen Orlick, Irving Ostroff, Marvin Palenker, Lila Padikoff, Ira L. Posner, Frida Rubenstein, Edward Sandel, William Shapiro, Abraham Sugar, Anna Tatuski, Knesset Whitcomb, Peggy Weil Altman, and Thomas Wisniewski. Sorry. If there's other names, just raise your hand. Yeah.
Vincent Charles Mary.
Mike is up.
June Lyson.
Gail Wells.
Dolores Schoner.
Lenny Pat.
And all the Israeli soldiers that have passed away in the war.
We invite you, all whose custom it is, to rise. Again, page 598, as we recite the Mourner's Kaddish. Yitgadal v'yitkadash shemei Rabbah, v'yalma divrach hirtei v'yamlik malchutei, b'chayechon v'yamachon v'chayei dechol beit Yisrael, v'agalau v'zman kariv v'yimru amen. Yehei shmei Rabbah mevorach le'olam olmei almaya. Yitbarak v'yishtabak v'yitpa'ar v'yitromam v'yitnaseh. V'yitadar, v'yitalev, v'yitalal, shemei dekudusha b'rechu. Le'ela min kol birchata v'shirata, tush b'chata v'nechamata, damiran v'alma v'yimaru, amen. Yehei shlamar rabba min shemaya, v'chayim alenu v'al kol Yisrael v'yimaru, amen. Oseh shalom b'imramav, hu yaseh shalom. Aleinu v'al kol Yisrael v'al kol yoshvei tevel v'imramein. May the one who creates harmony on high bring peace to us, to all Israel, and to all the world. And we say, Amen. You may be seated. Zikranam levracha. May their memories be for a blessing. And we have Bruce Chorus to offer the announcements.
Shabbat Shalom again, everyone. We hope you enjoyed our season finale, season 1 of Jews of All Hues. We are already thinking about year 2. Michael, thank you again. And really powerful words tonight as well. It brings home what we have to be thinking about all the time now. It's funny how things work out, though, isn't it? Because this was not the original plan for tonight. We had to adjust when our musical guest wasn't able to make the trip, and it's perfectly fitting what we did tonight. Here we are, 8 months ago this morning, we woke up to our world changed. And tonight we're thinking of our ties to Israel, and it was a very powerful evening. So sometimes changing plans works out for the better. Thank you, of course, to Rabbi and Cantor and Ivan Dachenko and Ben Cohn and Dr. Andy Simons for making the service so special. And a mazel tov again to Enav Simons on becoming a rabbi. We're just blossoming rabbis everywhere in this congregation. It's wonderful. No, we've got more rabbis.
You're gonna be next.
Not me. Okay. Okay.
Not today, not.
All right. Todd says if Rabbi Alex isn't here, I should lead the service one Friday night. So that would be interesting, to say the least.
Thumbs up back there.
Yeah, we might do that. Okay, thank you to our service greeters, Evie and Barry Weinstein, Sherry Jo Reich, and Randy Lifson. We had such a big service tonight, we needed 4 service greeters for it. It was great. Tomorrow morning, Torah study, 9 a.m. at Temple Beth Tzedek and via their Zoom. Shabbat morning service and Kiddush luncheon are at 10:45, also at Temple Beth Tzedek. The rabbi's class, Intro to Shir Shalom, Friday night services, will be back next Friday night. That's at 6:30. Thank you to everyone who volunteered or purchased Shvetas this week. It was very successful. We will be back on Tuesday, June 18th. All this month, or I believe most of the month anyway, our Tikkun Olam team is continuing to collect for the SPCA. Please help out in some way if you can. Thank you to everyone who attended the Israeli dancing practice Wednesday night. That, of course, is in preparation for tonight's event. We'll be having Israeli dancing in the social hall during the Oneg. It will be a hoot. We will enjoy that. I mean that in a good way. You can't go wrong with Israeli dancing. You just cannot go wrong. Even if you can't dance, you can do Israeli dancing. Ronnie mentioned our auction that we are doing to raise money for the families of the hostages. The items up for auction in the basket raffle, I should say, are on display in the social hall. There's also going to be a weekly walk for the hostages on Sundays. There's some flyers outside the office out there to give you more details. I believe it's 10 o'clock Sunday morning, I think. Anyway, there's flyers out there with information on it. We are having a fundraiser this Sunday at Panera on Main Street, Main and Union. It's from 4 to 8. You got a flyer in the email. Some of you picked up a flyer outside the sanctuary a while back. You also, in your email, there's a code, and I think there might even be a QR code. Anyway, it's from 4 to 8 on Sunday, the Panera Main and Union. Make sure you use your code or your flyer, and the temple will receive 25% of the proceeds. So eat at Panera Sunday night. Tuesday night, beginning at 8:30, Tikkun Leil Shavuot is at Temple Beth Tzedek. It's a community all-night study. The rabbi is doing an all-nighter. He hasn't done one of those since last Shavuot, actually. Your rabbi is leading at 11:30 p.m. with Rabbi Gutman. It's all night. The last presenter begins at 5:30 a.m., followed by breakfast, of course. We have more and more stuff coming up here, lots of stuff. Ballroom dancing class, June 13th and June 27th. That's from 6:30 to 8:30 p.m. It's only $10 per person per session. So if you've always wanted to learn ballroom dancing, this is your chance. The defensive driving class returns, I should say, on Saturday, June 29th. Show of hands if you've taken it. Yeah, you've saved a lot of money on your car insurance and supported the temple in the process. So that's that's Saturday, June 29th. If you'd like to know more about it, talk to me during the Oneg. If you need anything, please feel free to reach out to the rabbi, the cantor, Todd, Joanne, or myself. Not Joanne tonight, let's leave her alone, but she'll be back next week. Please join us for the Oneg Shabbat and Israeli dancing. sponsored by Michael Berger and the Glickman, Russlander, and Bloom families in memory of Marlene, Jane, Ellie, and Don. If you would like to sponsor an ONIG for a special occasion or no occasion at all, talk to Joanne. By the way, there are 2 lines going through the ONIG tonight because we don't want a backup. We make sure that you get through quickly and get your food, so there are 2 lines going through. And again, thank you to Michael for his sponsorship of the whole year of ONIGs for Jews of all hues. Israeli food and dance on a Friday night at a temple. How can you go wrong with that? You have something else? Am I missing something?
No.
Oh, you're just waiting to do
I
that.
just wanted to thank Dorothy. She's here, Dorothy Lewis, who taught here for 17 years in this building, right?
Wow.
In this building. She taught for 17 years, and we had a great time on Wednesday night learning some stuff, and we're gonna just go over it slow and everything, and we're just gonna enjoy ourselves out there tonight. Just have
Good.
a lot of fun with the music.
Food, dance, music,
And Dorothy.
and Dorothy.
And Dorothy.
Friday night at Shir Shalom. Does not get any better.
All right, we're going to turn to Adon Olam, page 625. And I think this is an Israeli one too. isn't it?
Yes, this is another Israeli piece by Uzi Hitman. And I think you will recognize it, and please follow along. Adon Olam, Hashem Olam, B'terem kol, Yisir Nivra, Yed Nasa, B'chefzo kol, Azai melech, Shemo nikra, Ve'yacharei, Kiklot hakol, Levado, Yimlok nora, Don't love my ship, I love the denim, go you see me from the 8,000 וחפצות כל הזמרת של מוניקה יחרי ככלות הכל לבדו ימלוק נרע והוא היה והוא הווה הוא יהיה ותפארה Don't love my ship, I love the denim, go you see me from the 8,000 וחפצות כל הזמרת של מוניקה יחרי ככלות הכל לבדו ימלוק נרע הוא היה והוא הווה Betifara, be'uhaya, be'uhove, betifara, be'uhaya, be'uhove, betifara, be'uhaya, be'uhove, betifara. Be'yado, it's customary to kind of sway during the slow part. Kiglot hakol. בעת אישה ואגירה ועם רוחי גווייתי אדוני לי אדוני לי Hashem alak b'terem kol yitzini ra Hitnasa v'chefzo kol azay v'lechem monika Yacharei kikzot hakol V'vado yimlok nara V'hu haya v'hu hover V'hu yeh v'tifara Don olam Hashem alak b'terem
for Hatikva, we face the Israeli flag, page 678, if you're able. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam hamotzi lechem min haaretz. Amen. As you came in peace, may you leave in peace. Please return your Siddurim, your prayer books to the front, minus the leaflet, and enjoy our food and our oneg and our dancing outside. Shabbat shalom.
You know what? Things work out. Things have to go with the flow. Yeah. This just felt right to me, didn't it?
Sunday is supposed, it's both days, but Sunday's supposed to rain. So tomorrow's better than 2 days. So, yeah,